Hey everyone, Ripley Sellers with Bob's Watches. I'm here for a very special episode. I'm joined by Morgan King and Watch Gringa, and today we're going to be talking about our predictions for the upcoming Watches and Wonders Geneva show. Also, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date on our latest video content. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. So good to have you, virtually have you here, and obviously talking about an exciting topic. But before we get started, a quick wrist check. What are y'all wearing today, Morgan?
Well, as you can see, I'm wearing my Bond combat sweater. So therefore, you're right to assume that I'm wearing my Bond NATO. But as you know, I also wear two watches. So the second one, of course, is Omega, the blue Snoopy, to match my blue sweater. Thanks to Moneypenny. Thank you so much, AKA my wife.
How about you, Gringo? What have you got on today?
Love it. Today I'm wearing my Rolex Daytona. I got a bit of a messy jumper though, so don't judge me.
Very nice. I've got on, I mean, my sub, it's same sub I frequently wear, and today I've got on one of Everest's black rubber straps because just trying to kind of class it up a bit and look the part, put on a jacket. Well, I guess two of us are wearing Rolex, and we already know what Omega unveiled, but you know, what are we thinking as far as Rolex predictions? I guess for Rolex, it's almost as important what gets introduced and what gets dropped from the catalog because it's such a commodity in the market. But what are you guys thinking as far as new releases and you know what we might see this year?
Well, Rolex predictions are always hard because they always do something completely left of field that you don't expect to happen. Like the Palm Fronds, who saw that coming, 2020, the Stella Dial OPs. I would have never predicted that in 100 million years. As for discontinuing from Rolex, I know a lot of people are kind of speculating around Milgauss or Air King. I lean more towards Air King maybe being discontinued. Update to the Milgauss. I think personally it's going to be the year of the Yachtmaster. I'm hoping for big updates to the Yachtmasters. It was kind of going around. A sailor, I think he sails boats, named Ben Ainsley, was seen with a titanium Yachtmaster, and it got people talking. It would be very exciting if we saw a titanium Yachtmaster.
Yeah, I entirely agree. It's going to be the year of the Yachtmaster. A lot of people don't talk about it, but the Yachtmaster 2, my guilty pleasure watch in full yellow gold, none of the Yacht 2s saw a price increase at 2022. So January 1st, all the Rolex models went up, including the ones that just debuted, you know, earlier, you know, in 2021. But the Yachtmaster 2, none of the SKUs changed, same price. It is their purpose-built sailor watch, and as you said, Ben Ainsley's been wearing that titanium Yacht 42 no-date prototype, so I can totally see there being something to the yacht collection. My money's on maybe a titanium Yachtmaster 2, but you know, something with that complication, that countdown timer. Morgan, how about you?
Well, from my experience, anything that we predicted today is not going to happen at all. So I'm just having fun with it right now. Everyone's talked about the Coke, right? The Coke GMT. That may or may not happen, but what I really want is, look at this. The blueberry GMT with the red mini hand. How cool would that be? That's something that Rolex has always not said anything about. It's controversial because it's all blue. The blueberry that came from the UAE. So why not just have fun with it and create some of that, Rolex? But they're not going to do it. So, but if we were going to predict that, I would also like the 6538. Which we love as far as the Milgauss is concerned. It's got the honeycomb, the waffle dial, the red triangle. I think if you're going to move away from the green crystal, right, or with the orange lightning, go with the OG. Because I think right now with the whole, the COVID, the pandemic, what's going on in the world, everyone wants to go back to a simpler time. So I think if you go back to that, it kind of resets everything. Kind of like eating mom's homemade chicken noodle soup when you're sick, right? You just want to go back to be. So that's how I see it. And of course, I would be lying if I didn't see a really nice Rolex Explorer, like the 1655 Disco. Let's get one of these going on, something very similar, because, you know, although they're vintage, the OG, you have the newer collectors, and they should have something also, because gosh, you know, you can't sell your kids or a kidney for some of these pieces now at the price that they're at. So Bring them back.
It's my favorite Rolex of all time, the 1655. I just don't have any kids to sell to get one. So if I did, there'd be one on my wrist. And if you see one on my wrist, you all know what happened. But I feel you. They should bring that one back. But Britt, your point with the Milgauss and the Air King, I think there's a lot of validity there. For the last several years, the watches have been basically the same. Different dial, different crystal, different surface treatment. But like as far as case and movement, they're spot on, but they've got a delta of about $2,000 at a retail level. We always joke that the Air King's kind of like was the spare parts watch. It's got the old full white gold Arabics from the 39 Mark I. It's got the old Milgauss case and the clear crystal from that one. And it's this cool, really cool, unique hybrid. But at a certain point, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a long-term thing, especially when it's designed up based on the cockpit instrument from the Bloodhound like land speed thing, which wasn't all that successful of a project long-term due to the funding issues. So it's sort of interesting to look at that watch. I can't see it being a long-term player, but if they change that one drastically, the Milgauss will probably get an update. And like you said, an update to that would make more sense. Maybe a fully anti-magnetic movement would be really nice because Rolex, the big innovator, is kind of lagging behind in that department now that Omega can do 15,000 plus Gauss movement alone. So it's and Tudor can as well, Rolex's little sibling company. So I think they don't want to be outdone by their no one wants to be outdone by their little sibling.
Yeah, and especially when you tout Gauss in your name, you would think you'd be kind of keeping up with it. You'd be kind of top tier in that. But also the Sky Dweller has a birthday as well in 2022. So it's 10-year anniversary of Sky Dweller. So I don't know what we would see from it, but maybe a notable anniversary piece.
What about the 6-year anniversary of the Daytonas, right? Because if you look at the 16520 version, right, that was there for the Zen improvement. That was about 12 years, about just to show you the 16520. And then from there, right, you moved on to like the stainless steel models. Then of course, every 6 years or so, you would move from the ceramic version to now the 6263 and the 6265 homage. Now I'm thinking if you can make a ceramic bezel in red, blue, black, green, can't you make one in like kind of whitish silver to kind of go look like the 6265? Perhaps. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
They won't do
I think Rolex will keep their Daytona cards until next year. So 63 was when the line debuted formally, and coming up on 2023 next year, I could see there being something big then. If they're going to do anything this year with the Daytona, I could see it being something kind of teasing us and getting us ready. Maybe a two-tone with the ceramic bezel or Everose two-tone, both things that are surprisingly not around in the brand's catalog. And if they do something for the Sky Dweller, it's probably not going to be anything on a core level because the movement is what it is. But I'd love like a solid gold Jubilee bracelet, green dial, like full anniversary edition or something like that. Because 10 years of their most complicated watch, that's something to take note of. And
Don't
then you also have
on a Jubilee bracelet. You want to have that also.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do it, gotta go big, and let's get that. Yeah, gold bracelet, no oyster flex on that one.
Yes.
Well, speaking of flex, about Patek Philippe. So predictions there, I think we're all kind of looking for what's gonna replace the 5711. And they also have the new advanced research minute repeater that just debuted. It would be interesting to see if that tech made its way into like a regular production model. But what are you all thinking as far as what we might see this year coming up, Britt?
Yeah, I think we're just going to get some kind of like 6711. So if you look on the website, more and more Nautiluses just keep leaving the website beyond just the 5711 as well. So I reckon we're probably going to get some kind of a update to it. Maybe Patek will treat us to hacking seconds on the Nautilus. Maybe, if we're lucky. But I reckon we'll get some kind of Nautilus that looked just like the older Nautiluses. They'll just go back to a blue, a slight minuscule change in the case. Maybe, the women's, what is it, 7118? It's got a little comfort adjustment, a micro adjustment in the bracelet. So it'd be nice if they put that in the men's model as well. But I reckon we'll get some underwhelming Nautilus action. That would be my best guess.
Yeah, you can't change an icon too much. Morgan and I have talked about this. You know, it's like for brands like Patek Philippe, especially the Nautilus, where it, you know, it as a design, it's iconic. It's one of the few watches really deserving of that term. But like, what can you really do to change it? I think you're right. A better clasp, certainly, but like, are you really going to all of a sudden change what is the brand's most popular watch? You know, maybe a new metal combination, light dial tweak. Hacking seconds would be great. The 324 SC that was in the other one, it's beautiful movement, wonderful movement, but as far as, you know, what it's bringing to the table is quite a bit outdated, all things considered. Morgan, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I feel like over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of sports, right? Everything is sports, the Tiffany blue, the military green, the discontinuing the 5711. So I think, you know, a lot of collectors are saying it's the age of the dress watch, right? A lot of it is coming back. They want, you know, the master complications, precious metals, if you will, perpetual calendars. I personally feel like with the green, with the Tiffany blue, different colors have been coming out a lot. So, you know, it would be crazy if Patek was to actually like merge the colors together, maybe blue and green together, make it cyan. So it would actually kind of like have a new cyan dial. So some of these perpetual calendars, like the 5270p, the perpetual calendar with the salmon dial, maybe they come with the little cyan dial of a different version, because, you know, it takes so much technology and innovation to create, you know, redo the case, redo the movement, redo the complication. I think changing the dial slightly to give it a little bit of a twist, but also add a little bit of youthfulness / depending on the color of it, the elegance of the watch itself. As you know, Patek as well as Rolex and all the other classic old school brands, they move very, very slowly because they stick to their DNA. They stick to their bread and butter. They don't want to waver too much, but every now and then they'll surprise us with a little bit of something that they deem us worthy to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you make about the dress watch aspect. You know, there's been so much hype about the Nautilus and the Aquanaut and their sports watches, but the Calatrava is like the quintessential like dress watch that's a Patek model, and there's a lot of room there. If they did like a steel Calatrava with a funky dial, I could easily see that being something that strikes a chord with collectors, because if you already have a Nautilus, how do you get something that's appreciably different but at the same time kind of still within that steel Patek family? And you know, any steel model from Patek, it's going to sell, period. So, you know, yeah, I could easily see them kind of leaning into their dressier side just to shine some more light on it, because the Nautilus is saturated at this point as far as exposure. Tudor, you know, Rolex's little sibling company. Some people have been talking about how, yes, they're exhibiting, but at the same time, you know, do you really want to share the spotlight with Rolex? Tudor releases stuff out of season anyway. Some people are saying they might hold off on that big, you know, the big hitter until maybe the summer, when they can just kind of do what they did with like the Black Bay Navy Blue or the FXD and just sort of hog all the media for like a week or two there, and they're the only one everyone's talking about. But what do you think we might see this time upcoming in a couple weeks here?
Ooh, I don't know. I love speculating Tudor though. They put out some really exciting stuff last year, and I'm really excited to see what they do this year. I was thinking their GMT could use a bit of an update. I know they've had a bit of movement troubles with it in the past, but I wonder if they could, I don't know, get a more robust movement, fit it into like a Black Bay 58 case, and maybe just offer more alternatives with that range. Like right now, they only have the Pepsi kind of alternative. But it could be fun to see them providing more GMT Master 2 alternatives, different colors. I know people have been hoping for the black GMT Master 2 to come back, which I don't think it ever will. But Tudor has the scope to experiment with that stuff a little bit more. Even precious metals, they could do like a root beer alternative or something. I don't know, but I think maybe a GMT could be fun.
Yeah, I think Pelagos GMT is something that everyone's been screaming for a long time.
Yes.
Like, that movement would fit in the case. Just put it in there and, you know, put a new dial and handset and you got it. But yeah, I totally agree. For years, they've just had the Pepsi, and how hard would it be to just throw a different bezel insert and a different color GMT hand on there, you know? But at the same time, the person who doesn't want the red and blue watch wants a Tudor GMT. Yeah, an all black one would be an easy play, and that would be I think it'd be a hit as well. And let's be real, Tudor kind of gives you what you want to see from Rolex that Rolex is just never going to do. Like, you know, a heavy military inspired prototype like the, you know, the PH or the FXD along with the PO1. You're never going to see Rolex do that, and you're probably not going to see them release an all black GMT this year either, but could Tudor? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or even the yellow gold, is it the Black Bay 58? People have been really speculating and wanting a Hulk in yellow or ever rose gold, and it was really fun to see that from Tudor last year.
Yeah, Tudor is the little brother that just loves to cause mischief, right? It's almost
He's got messy hair. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. And he's growing a hipster beard and a mustache, and that's how it works. You know, I would not be surprised if Tudor came out with a Tiffany blue GMT hand, if you want to talk about the GMTs, right? It's the Pelagos has a 10-year anniversary, right? It came out the burgundy bezel, right? Maybe a different new line that would kind of keep it up and fresh. Maybe bring back the rose instead of the shield, because that's an homage as far as the heritage is concerned. Who knows what the combination that would be. Yeah, as far as like the only thing I could think of was last year when they came out with the chrono, the Tudor chrono, where it had looked like the big reds, if you will, and the reverse styles. Why not come out with, you know, gosh, the steel bezels and make something with a splash of color as well, something like the home plate and the Monte Carlo. But that's something that, you know, Tudor I think has always been. Like even the Ranger could do like a Explorer version of it too, right? With the orange, because the orange has kind of always been synonymous with exploring, and Tudor, of course, is always able to do what Rolex doesn't want to do yet, or is not ready to show you just yet.
Yeah, I think it was someone, it might have been John Mayer, who referred to Tudor as like the Tyler Durden for Rolex, like from Fight Club, where it's just like that's where the brand goes to express whatever it's trying to get out, where you get like the pre-crown guard GMTs and these homages to these old models. I would love to see Tudor do like a 1655 Explorer 2 version, because again, my favorite watch, and I'm priced out of the vintage market on them. But you know, we got a new a new Explorer 2 from Rolex last year, so you know, come on, you have a GMT movement. You know, we're kind of close there. I'd like to see, wishful thinking probably, but yeah, I think so the Pelagos is due for an update, and with this FXD where they gave you something, but it's so kind of niche that it's not really an update to the collection itself. We're still kind of rocking the same two black in-house models. Yeah, like a GMT model, a different colorway, because you know they can do ceramic in different colors. It's Rolex as well. What about like a red Pelagos? You know, lean into Tudor's home colors a bit on that one, and you know, and have a bit of fun with it, or do a red version of the solid gold Black Bay 58. You know, just for the variety's sake. You know, they probably make a solid margin on it, given its retail price. Well, beyond that, there's a ton of other brands. So I mean, we've got Panerai, Oris, Grand Seiko. I mean, there's like 38 brands all told in exhibiting. Is there any others you guys are interested to see, or have predictions about what we might see from them?
Morgan, do you have any? Do you want to go first?
Okay, I have some friends who are Paneristas, or Paneristas, if you will. They're very, very adamant about it. They want to disappear completely. And I'm like, why? It's like, you know, it's kind of like Tudor, the younger brother. You say Douai, you automatically think it's for the younger. It's easily, the strap is easier to move. It's more poppy. It's thinner. Leave it, because you never know, because different generations will enjoy it. But I do feel that the size, right? A lot of people are going smaller size now. So I think the submersibles in the 40, like the Lumina 47 millimeter, that should go away, because you know you have the submersible to do that. You have the Radomirs that will do that. So I think to discontinue something, to let you know, at least let them say, hey, that's being retired. Get yours while you can. I think are very helpful. I think what else? I think right now Panerai is going through they're sticking to their guns, which is good, because you need to do that, because, you know, 1860, they're Italian Navy, they're heritage, they're traditional. I think they're getting a lot of hate because they had a lot of limited editions, but I think it's just a matter of time until everyone comes back. It's that ex-boyfriend that, you know you can't get along with them, but every couple of years you always go back to them. So I really feel that, you know, Panerai, if they stick to their DNA, which is right now, get rid of some of the new ones. But I think the Douai, the E-Lab, the E-Metals, I think that's very responsible. They're getting a lot of hate on that as well. but it has the Tiffany blue on it, so it's gotta sell, right? Um, what else? I would love for them to bring back like the the collaborations. Like when I was collecting Panerai back in the early '90s or so, like the Pam 108, the Pam 105s, the homage to the AMG line. Everyone's talking about the classic Pam 88s, the GMTs. They want some of that to come back. So I think if you're keeping true to the OG vintage versions, but bring it with a new splash of modernism, I think they would do very, very well with that. My thoughts.
Yeah, Morgan, your point on Panerai is a good one. I like the Luminor. I'd love to own one. But at 44, I can't quite pull it off. 40, 42, totally in my wheelhouse. I can do that, but there's not a lot of options for just the standard Luminor. I don't think they have a 40, and if they have a 42, there's got to be only a couple things that meet that criteria. But I'd love to see them come in real basic, hand wind movement, simple, time only, maybe make it a Marina, give me running seconds, but then price it on the entry level side, make it an entry level model where it's not 9 to 12 grand for the 42 mil Panerai. It's closer to that $6 grand entry level price point. I think that'd do really well. That's probably the only reason I haven't picked one up yet. It's just, they have a lot of, their catalog changes a lot. There's not one that's a perfect fit. The 42 mil submersible is great, but it's what, 12, 13,000 retail. That's more than a Submariner retail. So, I'm drag my heels on that, but you're more tapped into the Panerai community. What's the biggest reservation against the Due? It's that it just doesn't have the water resistance or the robust nature of it, their military provenance, or what do you think it is?
A lot of them see it more of a sellout, if you will. Like, hey, this is a rugged Navy watch that can go deep. These guys that wore it, back in the pre-Vendome days, they were on the Pig, where they were going and trying to like literally put explosives on battleships, and that was a huge job. And what are you doing to it by putting in a Due where it was, it can only go how deep? 30 meters? What, are you kidding me? But I think it's necessary because I see it more like a Tudor, if you will. All the things that the submersible Luminor or even the Radomir is known for, the Due I think can be a little more lighthearted. It's known to be a little bit more for smaller wrist if need be. Not to say that nothing's wrong with that, but I think you're a classic person that's introduced to Panerai would want to wear something like that because it's 47 millimeters. Really, it's just huge. 44 is like big. Also, I enjoy it, but even when you're wearing like a 36 millimeter, Hoyer, or even like a even 39 millimeter Omega, when you put it on a Panerai, you're like, oh my gosh, what's this? I think another one like the Bronzino, right? That was always great because they, I think the novelty of the Bronzino has always been lovely, but they just love that material and the way that it looks and the way that it feels. I think they should just stop saying that it's limited edition, that it's, they should just say that it's a novelty release or for a limited time only or something to indicate that it's just not, it's the one and done type of scenario. I think that's what got a lot of the Panamanian people upset about that. That's how I personally feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they kept the Due, because Panerai needs a dress watch, so I think they sort of need to do something there, but they also need to sort of check the same box for the person that wants the Due but doesn't want a dress watch, keep that smaller, slimmer case profile, find a way to make it 100 meters of water resistance, and then give it like a matte black dial to be offered alongside it. So if the person wants the Thule Panerai in its downsized form factor, there you go, and it's, you can feel free to go swimming with it at 100 meters, but at the same time, it's not totally betraying its past and just becoming this rather resplendent, dressier piece entirely. And then, Britt, you've got a Cartier. Any comments as far as what, you've got a Santos, I believe, but what do you think we might see from them this time around?
Yeah, my husband's got a Santos, I've got a Tank, and I've been really hoping we would talk Cartier because there's nothing I like more than talking Cartier. Honestly, who knows? Even last year's stuff, I really didn't see it coming. The Tank Muss with the different colors, the solar watch, I didn't see any of it coming. I think they did some Pasha stuff as well. I have stuff I want to see that are bad predictions, but I want to see it.
Hear it.
I would want to see them revitalize the Tortue line again. If you go onto their current website, they've only got 2 on there, and they're quite small and really diamondy. But then on the banner, when you hit the Tortue, it's like a larger men's size on a men's wrist, and it's like, oh, that looks class. That looks really, really class. Or the mono pusher in the Tortue, if that ever came back. It never will, but if it ever came back, I'd be pretty excited. But I think it's an anniversary year for that one. I think, like I didn't research it. It's also an anniversary year for that watch as well. So it's 110 years since its creation from Louis Cartier. So that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, my only prediction is that it's probably not going to have a traditional round case. I mean, their back catalog is full of so many interesting, and they all kind of really work, despite being some of them being very, very strange. But you know, they have such a rich history to kind of pull from as far as these unique designs to reimagine or reiterate that. You know, why would you just make a simple, like, kind of Calatrava style case, which is beautiful in its own right, but that's not Cartier's thing. You know, squares, rectangles, and everything beyond that. You know, even when they do a round watch like the Ballon Bleu, it's not totally round, or the Pasha isn't 100% round. But I would love to see smaller or just more sizes of Santoses. One of our coworkers here's got a smaller, older, like 80s, like two-tone Santos. Oh, I'd rock that thing all day long. It's fantastic. It's like the male version of the Panthera. I want one of those, but you know, even the smaller size, it's a bit bigger than this one still here today. Morgan, how about you?
Well, like, as you know, like Cartier has been, you know, their pop fashion, they're historic with heritage. I think, you know, in the news lately, because I live in LA, you know, with Cartier, every time when I hear about Cartier, it's always about certain celebrities, like, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal, he has a Santos. Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian, he's got a Santos. So I think a lot of it, you know, as long as you have the Roman numerals, you forgot to mention the Roman numerals. That's like classic for Cartier as well. If they make some sort of a design with the Roman numeral that gives them over a pop, maybe one of the letters or numbers will be in a different color, perhaps, to give it more of a flair. Who knows?
A Tiffany blue.
Well, I didn't say that. You did. But you know, Tom Holland also wears a Cartier. So a lot of the celebrities that are wearing it, you know that Cartier is a staple. If you don't have a Cartier, you're missing out, right? Because that's a staple though actually you need to have. So it's one of those things where I think it's highly influenced with a lot of the men, because it's always been, you know, slowly but surely been known as a feminine brand, but it is not the case anymore. Everyone that is somebody always has one. I hate to admit it, but I had a Pasha, but I had to trade it because I just wasn't wearing it. But that doesn't mean I won't go back to it, because it was a gorgeous piece.
You need to go back to it. You need to go back to it. Yeah, so many people associate it with being just a female brand, but plenty of men now and in the past have worn one. Keith Richards wore a Panthère. Well, all sorts.
Yeah,
anyways.
Well, there's that photo of, I think it's Pierce Brosnan, where he's just looking straight fabulous, like blow out in full effect, and he's wearing a Panthère as well. Where it's like you know, it's often like kind of the it girl watch nowadays, but no, that in the 80s and 90s that was often worn by men, and you know, they really do have this gender neutral sort of aesthetic where guys can get away with shockingly small, tiny tanks, and women can wear really burly, large Santoses. It's this amazing kind of, it does in all these different sizes and aesthetics. It sort of just works, and I mean, what a fantastic rich brand as well. They're equally known for jewelry and watches, so it's, you know, one of the few brands that on a global scale, widespread, not watch enthusiasts, can compete head-to-head with Rolex as far as just general widespread brand recognition. Go up to the random person and say, have you heard of Vacheron? Probably not. Go up to the person and say, have you heard of Cartier? Of course they have, even if they can't tell you Omega exists or Breitling exists. You know, they know Rolex, they know Louis Vuitton, they know Cartier, you know, they know Gucci. So I think there's that, I think it is sort of underserved in the watch community, because brand recognition, my God, they wield a level that is really seldom seen in the luxury space, period. So I think this big swell that we see with watches has just been a long time coming.
Yeah, I think they show how much money there is to be made in the women's market as well. Like if I asked any of my gal friends, if you had a bit of money right now and you could get a watch, what would you get? they would say probably Cartier first and then Rolex because they've kind of heard of it, but they will have seen, you know, other girls even online wearing a Cartier. And I think more and more kind of millennials, girls my age, are coming into the most money we've ever had, which for me isn't much still. And you're kind of getting those investment pieces. So I think it's really on the up and up for Cartier.
And you can buy one. Like, let's also just briefly touch on that point. You know, you have your heart set on a Rolex, you go into the Rolex boutique, you put your name down and you get a nice text from the brand manager saying, thanks for stopping in, we'll call you when you get one. Cartier, you fall in love with a watch, you go there, you have some champagne or a coffee, you have a wonderful time, and you leave with exactly the thing that you wanted. You know, it's a very, very different experience. And just like Rolex, it holds its price well. So if you want to change a watch later or buy one on the pre-owned market, you don't have to necessarily pay quadruple key. Sometimes you can even find a discount shop in pre-owned. So it's like, yeah, it just makes a lot of sense for that brand. And if you already have a Rolex and you have a bunch of other kind of more traditional watches, any Cartier will have its own natural place in that collection. It's not like there's going to be some redundancy present there of, oh, another black dialed circular dive watch. It's, well, you know, you don't have a rectangular thing with squares in the bezel and this unique bracelet and all of that. So, I think that whatever they're going to do will be beautiful. Any last ones? Oris, Grand Seiko. Grand Seiko will probably be nature inspired, and Oris, I mean, their catalog is so vast, almost anything that they put out would make sense, you know, in context of everything else that they have. I don't see a full new model from them, but, you know, iterations, different sizes. I still want to see a standard 38 millimeter Diver 38 because that size is perfect for that watch. But yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine as far as what exactly we might see from them. Probably more caliber 400 stuff.
Yes, what did come to my mind when you're talking about Oris was like the cloisonne, right? The enamel dial, like they did like for last year. It was like I'm Chinese, so like there's they did the Monkey King, which is Song Wukong, which is kind of like your mischievous monkey do the adventures. It's lovely. They limit it to like under 100 pieces. For Oris, a $27,000 watch. Oh my gosh, it's like crazy. Like you're like, huh, interesting. But I think what they did that to kind of show you what else they can do. I think it's one of the great things about being a smaller house, as we discussed previously before. You're able to push limits and not take yourself too seriously. You're more nimble to make decisions and choices that may stick depending on what the public is enjoying or likes. I think it's based on whatever they make. It's still going to be based on quality. It really, really has a great balance to it, and it also shows them, hey, I have the technology, I've made it. Now you provide the application. If you want to wear this with a tuxedo, if you want to wear this as a plain watch with white t-shirts and jeans, it's up to you. But it's limited to under 100 pieces. So good luck with it and see if you can get it.
Too true, too true. And they're not afraid to experiment with colors either. And a big trend, I guess, we've been seeing as of late is colors. So I think Oris could deliver us some more of those, and maybe even some more experimental materials. Like Panerai has the E-steel, and Oris experimented with the recycled dial. So I'd wonder if they'd go eco anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Oris is always doing something conservation-based. The number of limited editions that benefits or raise awareness for some body of water that, you know, needs protection. Yeah, I definitely see them continuing that sustainability and everything from their packaging materials to the watches themselves. Any last comments from you guys? Any last predictions, thoughts, or just general excitement or brands we're looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking for the AP, as I don't know if we had that recorded or not, but when I was talking to you previously, I'm looking for that Pokemon Charizard orange AP Pokemon dialed with VMAX holo card, PSA approved certified AP. Like the Black Panther. That worked. It's orange coming out of it. Why not?
That's a real talk, Morgan. I feel like that could happen as well, because they once again experimented with Black Panther. Pokemon card collecting is on the rise, so it could be very on trend.
The Grand Fu Enamel Charizard from AP. Well, one can hope, right? Well, that about wraps it up. Thank you both so much for joining us. Morgan King, Watch Gringa. These are our predictions for Watches and Wonders and kind of our hopes and desires, but obviously we want to hear what you have to say as well, what you think might be coming and what we're going to see at the end of the month. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the video and tell us in the comments below what your predictions for Watches and Wonders Geneva will be.